Hey everyone, Jexie here. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I thought I would give a little bit of a discussion about relapse and recovery. It's been coming up a lot this week, and I thought I'd talk to you about why I chose to do this topic, as well as my own experience with relapse in the past. So, although relapse isn't a part of everybody's story, relapse is a part of recovery. The statistics with addiction are what they are, and relapse is a very likely occurrence for those in recovery. It doesn't mean that you have to worry that every person you know in recovery is going to relapse. There are ways to prevent yourself from experiencing a relapse. This is why it's really important to have like a network, a recovery program. We do all these things daily. Well, I do all these things daily as my way of preventing myself from having a relapse. This week, unfortunately, there's been a lot of people who have either relapsed or gotten close to relapse, both in my personal life and on YouTube. I saw a video earlier this week of a member of the recovery community who just shared that he's dealing with a relapse. And it's really crushing to hear. Even though I don't know that person, I still in my heart feel that, we want everybody to succeed. And then this morning, I found out that a close friend of mine who, is a part of my real life recovery is back in detox. And he didn't have a lot of clean time, but it crushes me. I mean, what makes me happy is that when I hear someone relapse, but they're still alive and they're working back on getting into recovery again, like it gives me hope. Unfortunately, a lot of people who relapse, they don't make it back into recovery. With the way that the drugs are out there now, like it's so easy to die the first time you use. And it didn't used to be that way. I mean, drugs were always dangerous, but now a one-time relapse could literally cost you your life. And so, I always get sort of sad when I hear people relapse, and I'm always grateful when they make it back. I've heard a couple other YouTubers who have been talking about potentially getting close to relapse, and so I thought I'd share with you guys my relapse story. It's possible I've talked about it in previous videos, but I'll tell you from front to end my relapse story so that you guys understand that, look, nobody's perfect in recovery. We all have different struggles, but there's ways that we can get through it. So my clean date now is November 6th of 2012, but that was not my first clean date. My first clean date was February 14th, Valentine's Day of 2012. And that is when I did my 30-day stint in rehab. I started rehab in January. I didn't count my clean time for myself at that point until like I had everything out of my system and I was no longer taking any medications to help me with withdrawal. That was my way of looking at it then. I think now I look at it a little bit differently, but that's how I had determined when I was going to call my clean date. So I felt really strong. I thought I did a great job in rehab. I listened. I was open-minded. I was willing. I was honest. I was ready to get better. And as soon as I got out of rehab, I did everything I was supposed to do. I went to meetings in a 12-step program. I called people. Like I stuck. I even did like an outpatient portion of the rehab and that lasted for months. Like I was really involved. And unfortunately, my husband at the time was taking regular pain meds for his war injuries. And so they were in my house, which was, I didn't think would be a problem. He kept them hidden for a while. And by June, we both felt pretty confident in my recovery. I was doing really well. He was a little less careful about locking up everything. But it wasn't really a problem. On June 21st, give or take a day, that's my birthday, he took me out to one of those like super fancy restaurants where you have like a tasting menu and they do wine pairing. And once every couple of years, we would go to one of these restaurants. And he wanted to do the wine pairing, which is every course they bring you out like a little glass of wine and to match the course you have. So it's not like it's 7 courses and it's not 7 full glasses of wine, but by the time you finish, you feel tipsy. Excuse me. And so he wanted to do the wine pairing and asked if it would bother me. And I said, no, that would be fine. So I don't remember at what course it was, but my ex-husband, my husband at the time, he had tasted what he had. He drank some of the wine, and he said, you know, you really should drink some of this wine because, oh, I do remember talking about this, sorry, on a previous video, because I remember somebody commenting that nobody can force me to use, and they're right, but I'll get back to that, sorry. So he said, you really should try this wine with, with your meal. It really will go well. And look, you're right. He did not force me to drink that wine at all. But in early recovery, when we're already in a situation that we didn't expect to be triggering, like I thought it would be fine to go out to eat. And then I thought it would be fine to sit there while he was drinking. I wasn't prepared. I didn't set up for myself, which I know now, ways in which I can, if I'm stuck in these triggering situations, like, what do I do? It never occurred to me that, like, something as simple as going out to eat with my husband at the time would be that triggering. So I didn't plan for that. I didn't have any sort of tools for, like, I just didn't know what to do. So it was very easy for me to follow along and say, you know what, you're right. Having a few sips of wine will make this taste better and it'll be no problem at all, right? Now I'm prepared, right? Like, now I know not to do that. But at the time, like, it didn't even feel wrong. My brain, but I'll tell you this, I remember my brain, it was like a switch. And as soon as I had those first few sips of wine, like, it no longer cared about recovery. Like, it was like the whole recovery thing, like, whatever. And I continued to share his wine throughout the meal. And I remember asking him, I remember saying, well, since I'm already drinking, so my clean date is gone, maybe you'll want to share one of your pills with me. And he was like, are you out of your mind? And he, like, lost it on me. And, like, for him, there was a big difference between me taking, a painkiller and me drinking some wine. In my head, it was all the same. Drinking wine, taking pills, whatever. Like, it makes me feel good. Who cares, right? Like, my clean date's gone, so what difference does it make? So I think he thought that after the few glasses of, the few sips, it wasn't even sips. By the time we were done, I probably had 1 or 2 full glasses of wine. And, I was feeling good. I wasn't drunk, but I was feeling, tipsy. And I think he thought I would wake up the next day and everything would be normal. Unfortunately, my brain was, like, right back to using. Like, I couldn't have expected it to do that, but it was literally like a switch. And we stopped on the way home. He went into the 7-Eleven to get me something to drink. And while he was in 7-Eleven, I opened up his interior glove box. I took a pill and closed it. And I saved it, and I probably blew it up my nose when we got home. Though I may have swallowed it right in the car. I don't remember. And then that was that. And I was using from that point until I got caught. I was going to 12-step program meetings and showing up like everything was fine. And I was, like, in a delusion, thinking that I could fake recovery while I was using. And I felt awful. I was back to being sick. And in November, I got caught. My husband at the time clearly knew I was using. And he's like, you need to get your shit together or get the hell out. So, because by this point, because we were separated, but we moved back in together in May of 2012. So we'd literally been back living together for a month, and then I relapsed. So I called my old rehab and I said, I don't know what to do. I'm sick. I can't stop. And they said, well, why don't you come in for like a week-long detox? Get your head up, back on straight. And I said, okay. They said, come tomorrow morning. I said, thank you. So actually, I had to go in the evening because I was running a campaign for someone they were trying to get on the town council, and I was like their campaign manager. I did a lot when I was high. It didn't matter to me. I was like a functioning addict, right? So I went and it was election day and I stood outside and I told people to vote for this guy. And then I immediately left there and I went straight to rehab. And he won, by the way. So even though I was all sorts of nuts, and he knew of my addiction problem. He didn't know I was using at the time, but he did know I was a recovering addict, and he was very supportive of that. Um, so I went back to detox for a week, and I realized like I really realized like what I was missing, right? Like I really thought like once I got off drugs and I got into a routine that like I would never have to worry about wanting to use again. Like I don't know why I thought that, but like for anybody else in recovery, like let me know if you have this feeling too. But like once I was off drugs and I didn't wake up wanting to use anymore, I just kind of figured I would never want to use. You know, like yeah, sometimes random times those thoughts would come into my head, but like it never occurred to me that that thought could lead to me using, right? Like I just didn't think that was possible anymore. So that relapse shook me. That relapse shook me in a big way. And I decided, I really needed to put like everything I had into my recovery. I needed to take every suggestion, regardless of what I thought about it. And I worked really, really hard on my recovery, and I still do 6.5 years later. So when I hear people relapse, like I empathize because I know what that's like. And one of the YouTubers who relapsed, he talked about how he relapsed like right around a year. And I will tell anybody in recovery, when you get close to your year mark, for some reason, that year mark seems to be a big trigger for people. And I'm going to give you my theory on why I think the 1 year mark is a, a, a big time of relapse for people and how I prevented it and how I think, just my experience with it. So I think what happens is once we get close to having a year, a few months away, we start counting the days till we have 1 year clean. Because there's something about saying, I have a year clean that like really makes us feel like we've accomplished something. Like a year is a long time. And because we work so hard in recovery, like a year matters, right? But I think what happens is we wake up the next day after hitting a year and we realize that it's like nothing's changed from yesterday. Like hitting that year didn't miraculously change anything. We're still the same. We still have to do the same work. Recovery is still recovery. And I think if you can go into, before you celebrate your year, understanding that the 1 year mark is just another day clean. It's not going to be like fireworks and everything changes, right? You just now have one more day. And I think by keeping it on the day, we can do a lot more to prevent relapse. It's really, really hard not to think into the future, right? Like, I very often, like, have a hard time if someone's like, are you sure you're never going to smoke pot again for your whole life? Like, no. I want to say, yeah, I'm sure I'm never going to smoke pot, but I'm not a fortune teller, right? I can't see into the future. But what I've learned is that I don't have to worry about the future. I don't even have to worry about tomorrow. I just have to not use for today. That is something that is a big proponent in 12-step programs that I really believe is helpful to anybody, regardless of what recovery program that you choose to use. Understanding that getting clean a day at a time is what matters. So as long as you're not going to use today, then Congratulations. That's the goal. Don't worry about trying to stay clean at your cousin's wedding a year and a half from now. When that date, you can set up, when that date gets closer, you can come up with ways in which you can protect yourself from relapse, right? Have people you can call. Make sure somebody's there who knows that you may struggle, and if they see you struggle, can help remove you from the environment. You set up ways in which you can protect yourself from relapse. That's the only thing, though. Don't worry about the wedding until it comes. You obviously want to make preparations for things, but the worry doesn't have to be there until the day of. You prep so you don't have to worry. So I don't spend every day worrying about what's going to happen down the road. I spend each day focusing on staying clean for today. And for today, I don't want to use drugs. For today, I have no care in the world about any drug, and I don't have a desire to use or drink or anything. So for today, I'm focused on my recovery. That's all we have to do in recovery, is take it a day at a time. Thinking of the future can get a lot of us messed up. And for those people who've relapsed, are in a relapse, are thinking about relapse, there's hope. Focus on today. Do the best you can today to stay clean. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, relapse means death. And even if I don't know you, I care about you. I spend most of my days working on ways in which I can help other people who are struggling with addiction find recovery. I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you look like, even what your opinions on things are. If you're struggling with addiction, I want to see you succeed. And I'll do anything I can to help support you. The most important thing is, just for today, don't pick up. If you don't pick up today, then just for today, you won't use. You're not alone. We've all been there, and we're doing this together. So thank you guys so much for watching. Unfortunately, with the warmer weather coming, relapses tends to happen this time of year. There's a few different months of the year that are more common for relapse, and this month is one of them. I want to, let you guys know that I'm here in any way I can help support. You can always email me. You can, comment. I respond to every comment I get. So please feel free to reach out. I also have an Instagram and Twitter, which are the exact same name as my YouTube, according to Jexie. I made it easy. You don't have to try and find me in any convoluted ways. Just according to Jexie is my handle on all my social media. And of course, I have a Patreon if you're interested, and a Streamlabs account where if you want to make a one-time donation to help support my mission of reaching other addicts. All the links and stuff are below. There's also a ton of resources in every single description box for a variety of programs that you can reach out to if you're struggling with addiction. So I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. If you could hit the like button on your way out and subscribe if you're interested in more videos like this, that would be super helpful. And I hope you have a great, great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all on Tuesday. Bye.